All right, everybody, thank you all for coming in. The city of Cotulla City Council will meet for a regular meeting on Thursday, June 9th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Alexander Convention Center, Conference Room 290 North IH 35 Access Road, Cotulla, Texas. This is an open meeting subject to open meeting laws of the state of Texas. Roll call. I believe we have Mr. Alejandro Garcia, who's not present, but he asked to be excused. He is out of town. So I need a first motion to excuse Mr. Garcia. First motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Catulla. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Will everybody please join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizens to be heard. City Council cannot discuss any present issue, nor may any action be taken on any given issue at this time. I believe the only citizen to be heard is Ms. Hortensia Gloria. Is she here?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming in, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and Mr. Lavalina. I guess you're gonna have me here at every meeting until I get some answers. On May 12th, I attended the city council meeting. I told you all I wanted some answers. Before the council went into closed session, I spoke to the mayor and Mr. Dovalina. The mayor told me that they were going to move Alan to a different department, which they did, but they just threw him into the same wolf's mouth. On Monday, May 16th, at 1:42 p.m., I called the city office asking for Bianca Maldonado. Jennifer told me that Bianca was out to lunch. I asked her if she would give Bianca a message. She said that she could help me. I told Jennifer that I wanted a meeting with the mayor and Mr. Dovalina on Wednesday. She told me she would call me back and tell me what time I could meet with the mayor and Mr. Dovalina, because Mr. Dovalina wouldn't come back until Tuesday. I have not heard a response from Jennifer or any of the city members. On Monday, Alan was moved to the water department. Later on that day, Mr. David Wright went and told the water department supervisor that he wanted him to fire Alan. Okay? Thursday, time to sign timesheets for that pay period. Alan had 82 hours for the 2 weeks. David was having him for 72 hours. Alan went back and told him that he had 82 hours. At that time, David told Alan that he would not sign his timesheet. The supervisor for the water department signed his timesheet. This has not been the first time that they've done this. Geraldo Reina was doing it all the time. He was taking all his extra hours that he made, and I don't know if he was keeping them, but that's not the only thing that Geraldo does. Gerardo goes in at 7:02 or 7:20, clocks in, and then goes and drops off his kids, and then comes back and stays there until everybody gets in. So that's stealing from us taxpayers. He's stealing hours from us. On Friday, David walks up to the water department, tells the supervisor to tell Alan to put his uniform shirt on, but yet his little soldiers that he's got even out where he works, they don't even wear uniforms. He's got one that is still wearing his police academy uniform, one that walks into the city office without buttoning up his shirt, the other one reading meters in his white t-shirt. So why are they getting on to Alan? The only he does what everybody tells him to do, But the only reason David doesn't tell anybody else or picks on anybody else is because they're all related to him. He's got 3 of his relatives working for the street department, 3 at the sewer plant, and 3 in the office, including himself. The rest of the people that work in the city office are all related to each other. That's why our people from here have to go find jobs someplace else, because relatives take it up. They don't want anybody else there. The only thing that I can figure out is that David and Gerardo have always tried to get rid of Alan, but I don't know why. I guess because he wants to be the only white person working for the city. Alan is white, but he's been there so long that he thinks he can manipulate everybody and people don't find out what they're doing. But it's like I said, if I don't need, and don't take this as a threat, I don't need Facebook, I don't need the Current. What my signs do in my yard, that's my freedom of speech. I don't mention any names, but you know who you are. So I hope this can get straightened out. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Gloria. Moving on to item number 5, departmental and committee reports. Code compliance.
Good evening, Councilman, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Dovalina, and everyone here today. Very short. In code compliance, I had 7 initial warning letters, certified letters, ranging from everything from the violations of weeds, brush, and grass, and then, of course, some letters going out to the property owners who have those high fences, which is an article of obstructions. I will be following up with those parties and visiting with them sometime next week as well. The second warning letters sent out were 6 regarding follow-ups on properties, which I haven't heard anything from. And with concerns regarding from the water department on unauthorized connections, we had 3 of them, and for the most part, I went ahead and generated a letter and met with those residents or property owners and followed up. Some of them were just cross connections, and the other party was compliant and came in and made the payment for connections for their sewer and water tap. At that time, only have properties in compliance. I have 2 currently. There's a couple in the works right now. They're working on their notices. And then I have 1 demolished pending.
Do we have a list of those names?
I apologize, sir, what?
Yes.
We do have a list. They're not included in the packet?
No.
And then the demolished pending at 802 Velasquez Street, which currently is already in progress. And that is all I have.
Mr. Garcia, on the Las Palmas subdivision, there's a lot of properties with tall weeds. Who are the legal owners of those properties at this time?
On La Palma
On
subdivision,
yeah, the subdivision of Las Palmas.
I mean, off the top of my head, I couldn't honestly tell you, sir, but I mean, I can follow up and get into it.
On which
obviously.
property?
The Las Palmas,
Which property?
the ones where that motel is at behind the motel of Comforting, the Comforting, right in front of the nursing home.
It's owned by the Franks.
Okay,
They came in and cleaned it about a month ago.
okay.
And you see all the piles of things because they
Right.
couldn't burn them.
Okay. But they have to remove them, right? The piles?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So I'll follow up with that.
okay.
Anything else?
I have one question, and I thank you very much for this report. It's very good. What is the status on the stickers that we mentioned.
Well, the
last week?
stickers finally came in last week on Friday, late evening. I mean, yeah, towards the end of the day. Still got to work up to look at what the policy is so we can generate an inventory list of the stickers. That way, when I visit the properties, I can generate the sticker to the specific establishment for the amusement gaming machine location.
If you don't mind, the next meeting, if you can bring some of the stickers so you can show us what kind they are.
Yes, sir.
Sample.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your report.
Yes, ma'am.
Any
Anything else?
questions for Mr. Garcia, Councilman?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcia, thank you very much for that report. Moving on to water and wastewater.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Mr. Dovalina. I would first like to start off is when employees get their timesheets, we give them the timesheets. And they should be able to account for their hours. And we do sign off on them. I know, because I've done it before. The guys do their timesheets because we want to make sure that their time is done right. And if Mr. Allen has any concerns, he knows he can talk to me, he can talk to Mr. Dovalina, he can follow the chain of command. I mean, it's that simple. We do have a chain of command.
I have a question before you go any further. Am I right that the new software, that the new time clocks that apparently was installed for the city employees, even the city employee can also pull out his own time sheets?
They should, if they know how to operate it, they can go in there and look.
Can the training be done to them if they don't know?
We can.
In order for them to verify their hours instead of just.
Well, they get a timesheet with all their time, with their clock-ins. We've had some issues with the time clock where they don't clock. It says clocked in. When they go to clock out, it says they didn't clock in. I don't know if it's the internet or what it is, but we've had those issues before.
Sometimes they forget to clock in, and then it miscalculates.
And that
Yeah,
is
because
also an issue.
the school has similar to what you all have, and at the end of every day, we have to verify the hours that the day we came in the morning, and also at lunchtime when we leave and come back, and also when we leave. We have to verify those hours because that's how we get paid, and also we gotta verify at the end of the week. We have to verify for the whole week, making sure, because if we leave something empty, we're at fault of not getting paid for those days. So they tell us basically every day. So I was just wondering, is this?
We don't do it every day. We do it right before they get paid. That way they can see, and if there's any errors, they can correct them.
It'll be better, in my opinion, they be done daily for them, like we do it in school. I don't know how y'all do it, but it less of a hassle for employees, and I guess errors to pop out for any employee, because it does happen, and you're right, sometimes internet goes down, but that is done at the main office. They should catch it, and if there's an error, they should notify the supervisor of that department.
The internet is different from the one at City Hall, so it doesn't, like, Bianca won't know until the following day. But we've already told our employees that if for some reason it's not working at the wastewater treatment plant, to go over to City Hall and clock in and out. That way, it's all recorded.
But can training be done for all employees
Yes.
that need it?
We can have them, and if they want to look at
The
the
answer
end of the
is
day,
yes.
Yeah, that'd be
That's-
better,
it's
it'd be
gonna be
better
their
in my
choice.
opinion to eliminate the problem, so they can verify, yes, I did get 72 hours, yes, I did get 2 hours. So when the timesheet comes along, you already know, yeah, it does match, so go ahead and sign it.
okay. And we will train them.
Okay, appreciate it.
On the water report, we have, so far, we've been identifying illegal connections. And so, right now, we have 12 of them that we have discovered so far. Also, let's see. We have, an update on the elevated tower. The electrical has already been completed. Inspection of the tank was completed this week, and we should get a full report on that as well. The grading work has also been done, and today the contractors began digging holes for the fence. And also, I would like to thank Robbie and his crew for helping us take down some big old hackberry trees that should bad storm come, they would knock down. If they fell down, they would knock down the fence. So I'd like to thank them for helping us out. I mean, that way we save the fence before anything happens. The city crews also installed 450 feet of 4-inch water line. They did it in 2 days, and that is on Sarfield Street, and they've already connected all the service lines as well, so they are now connected to that 4-inch water line.
On that one right there, where you're mentioning that on those so many feet of water line, the employees install, how many employees were they?
There was 5 employees. And also on the generator projects, we have 100% completed plans. We're waiting to hear from TDM for the funding, and if I'm not mistaken, the deadline for those submittals is June 30th.
June
So,
30th.
we're still waiting to hear on that. They also began the Ortiz Street project. That started Tuesday. They've already installed 3 culverts there on Farmer Street, and they began excavating down so they can lay down the rebar on the concrete there on Ortiz Street. I also would like to mention that now that it's getting hotter, we have told the guys that your breaks are not at 10 and 3. It's so hot that, when you need to take a break, take a break. The supervisors and crew leaders have Gatorade. I have Gatorade in my office, and we make sure that they have it and that they drink plenty of water and take breaks, because I've had employees before that have had heat strokes, and I'm trying to prevent that. So we tell the guys, if they're out there working and they're not feeling good, they're tired, they're sweating, take a break. It doesn't matter the time, because their safety is more important than anything.
You give a good point there, and it is good that they do the hard work in the morning.
Yes, sir.
In the afternoon, take it easy, because right after 12 o'clock, it's getting over 100, 112.
Yes, sir. And that's what, like when they were doing the water line, that's what they did. They tried to dig and put in as much line as they could in the morning, and then that way in the afternoon they cover up, and the next day they go back and early in the morning start it. So yes, we do plan all the hard work in the morning while it's still cool, and then afterwards, the little stuff that is not, a lot of work. On the wastewater, we had Badger come out on May 23rd. They cleaned out 13 manholes. And they are the following over at Vista Verde Apartments, Stewart Street, Miguel and Stewart Street, on Miguel Street, Elm and Baker, Mesquite and Baker, and behind the country store, their manhole there, Deer Run and 468, and 1105 Marcus and 468, 468 and O'Brien and Tejas behind the Wendy's, and in the alley of Tejas. They have been some problem areas, so we came out. Badger came out, and we ended up cleaning those manholes.
It's still dealing with the wiping problem?
Yes, sir. That is still an issue.
Okay.
On the wastewater treatment project, that is at 100% completion. And the plans have been submitted to the Texas Water Development Board for approval. And once they get approved, we will go out for bids. And the sewer line for the Cotulla Lasalle County Airport, we received bids, and we are just waiting on the letter of recommendation from the engineers.
I have that letter.
Oh, you got the letter already? Okay. All right, and that's all I have for the water and
How
wastewater.
many bidders did we have for the sewer line?
I'm sorry, sir?
How many bidders did we have for the sewer line?
I believe it was seven or eight.
8?
Yes, sir.
That's from the airport coming down.
Yes, that comes down, through some of the property that we acquired.
Are those 7 or 8 bidders, are they listed here in this form?
No, sir.
Not yet.
Okay.
They're what?
Are they listed here?
No.
No, sir, they're not listed.
We need to wait for approval from the Texas Water Development Board, and then we will put it on
Okay.
the agenda for award once they approve, because it's their money that we borrowed.
Question on the water. How do you see the aquifer? Is it getting lower? I know it's getting lower.
It
Yes,
dro-
it, as of yesterday, it was at 512 feet.
Okay.
Our daily demand, as of today, was 1.4 million gallons. So we will be looking at doing the restrictions here. And all I can say is, pray for some rain, because we do need it. Our aquifer.
We normally have problems when the water gets to 525, and we're at 512, so we need to update our drought contingency plan to make sure that we put in the restrictions that are required before we get there. So the water continues to drop 2 feet a week, will shortly be there. So we're gonna have another meeting on the 4th Thursday of the month to deal with that and other things.
Do you happen to have a list on who's on call?
Yes, sir.
For everything? Can I have a copy whenever you have a chance?
All right.
Due to that, I saw a lot of city vehicles on personal houses, so I was just wondering who's on call and.
Well, we have one that is on call, that has the on-call phone, and then the other one, we have a call that comes out on the weekends that checks the lift stations, the wastewater treatment plant, and that's what he does on the weekend.
I'll probably need a list anyway, because I know, because I saw this weekend 4 city vehicles. I mentioned it to Delia, but I just want to make sure that the ones that are taking home the vehicles are the people that are on call, and also supervisors can take the vehicles home, but not more than that. So just make sure that this doesn't get abused.
We've had that discussion.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Jimmy on water and wastewater? Not, Jimmy, thank you very much for that
Thank you.
report. Moving on to gas.
David is on vacation. We did 2 audits with the Railroad Commission, and we passed both audits. We got the bill from West Texas Gas, and it was $17,000. And we're looking at the bill very closely, and we will probably ask you to do a pass-through of the price of gas. We were charged this past month 8-point-something cents. The rates are based on 1.8, and so we need to adjust them or we'll go into the hole.
Did we get Mr. Snowden to help us out with those rates already, sir?
Yes, sir. He delivered by email to Bianca and myself this afternoon with a proposed increase, and we picked a commercial customer without knowing who it is, and we picked a residential customer, and we compared it to the bill that went out and the bill that would have been generated. On the residential side, I want to say we were at 15.10 or something, and the price difference for the residential customer would have been 16 something. On the commercial side, we were at 400 and some odd dollars, and the difference would have been about $560, about $160.
That's how much the difference is.
Yes, it's based on consumption. And again, it's changing nothing but the cost of the gas to the consumer, and we still think we're lower than all the other cities.
Excellent. Any questions on gas, Councilman?
Have they started the gas line on that street where they're doing the water line? I'm not sure the name of the street.
Saltillo?
Correct.
No,
Not yet.
no. They, I think that gas line, if it's there, is fairly new.
Okay.
It's not as old as the line that they had to put in. Did you get a quote on the line if a private contractor had installed it?
On the gas line?
No, on the water line. The one that you said you installed 460 feet.
No, sir, we got the quote, Jesse measured it out, and I got the quote from Ferguson Pipe. They were the ones that, delivered the pipe and we did the work.
So how much was the cost of the water line?
It was, $9,000.
And if you had gone to a private contractor to do the work, what would it have been?
I would have to say it would be about 30 to 40,000.
So you ended up saving money by doing the water line.
Yes, sir.
In-house.
The cost of PVC now is like depending on the size of the line, but in one size of one line, it was $15 a foot. On the sewer line that we did from the airport, we rejected the bids a year ago, and the bid was like $670,000. The bid today is $1.4 million.
And that's just for the sewer line.
It is. And we bid PVC and an alternate pipe that is cheaper than PVC, or so we thought, and easier to get because it's hard to get PVC of a certain size, and it takes time to get that material.
Is it like a Schedule 40, Schedule 80?
No, the same things that are happening with the baby formula and with everything else also is affecting the pipe.
But that alternate pipe that we're buying, is it the same
Quality?
quality
Yes.
that we've had?
Yeah, but it has a temperature rating of, I wanna say it's 80 or 90, and our water is 120. So we figured if we do ever use it, that we can only use it for sewer, not for water, because of the capacity of the line.
Any other questions on the gas department,
No, sir.
Councilman? Not moving on to streets and parks.
Good evening,
Thomas.
Mayor, council members, city council member, Mr. Villalina. City of Cotulla personnel demolished a shed at the corner of Johnston and Lane Street. The customer paid a fee of $500. City of Cotulla personnel removed piles of dirt from Post Street that was stored by Cell Construction to the wastewater plant. City of Cotulla personnel mowed grass at the city yard on Pool, Highway 97, Golf, Lone Star Road, Front Street, FM 468. And the city of Cotulla also utilized the tractor with shredder to mow the Cotulla Airport and the city property lots. City of Cotulla also summoned UTW Tire Collection to dispose scrap tires that were collected at the cleanup. 4 loads of scrap tires, or regular tires, were taken for disposal. Also, City of Cotulla personnel, in coordination with LaSalle County Commissioners, personnel completed service orders by picking up branches requested by citizens on city easements. We appreciate the county commissioners and their employees working in partnership with the city. And just for your information, on June 25th, we're also gonna have a trash-orama cleanup at the Plaza Florita. And, that's all I have.
Mr. Thomas, is there a policy or ordinance on picking up branches for individuals that over 60 or 65 that don't have means to transport them to their landfills
No, we don't have anything right now, Mr. D.
at this
was-
time?
We've been working on
We're
something.
working on an ordinance to pick up branches of a certain size from the homes so that you can have branch pickup on the streets.
Okay. Is there a certain specific size that if the individual does not have a chainsaw and it can't cut it, will the city?
Well, it'll have some exceptions, but it won't have every exception.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to deal with it once we start doing it. We generally make an exception for elderly people.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. Let me go back to Jimmy. Is there, your department, you need any equipment or anything like that to make your job easier and all that, you
It's-
know?
As of right now, I mean, we're trying to we're making a list of what we need, that we can put it in this,
We're,
this coming
Budget.
budget.
we're doing budgets, sir.
Okay. And for your department, do you need anything that you need right now?
Mr. Dovalina has approved we've purchased several weed eaters, and they've been utilized a lot, and we've been attacking the grass, but you know, it's everywhere. But I was gonna get with him also, and the crew has been telling me that they would want another tractor to help out. We have one, but you know,
How many Z-Tracks do we have in all city department? Do you have any in your department?
We have one.
Yeah, they have a
How
tractor.
many do you have?
One.
One or-
We have one at the water and wastewater. At the wastewater plant, we have one zero turn.
Is there any way to put it in the budget for the future?
Yeah.
For them, because I know the city maintenance have a lot of grass to cut.
When you, look at the budget, there is a section where you buy capital equipment,
Okay,
and we try to balance what they need with that budget.
okay,
It's part of the budget.
okay.
The current condition of his other tractor has a fuel pump that is damaged, and it's taken some time for TELUS equipment out of Pearsall to get the parts so they can fix it.
Okay.
Mr. Dovalina, would the footwear or the boots for the employees be considered in the budget, or like a voucher?
All employees get one pair of boots a year.
Okay. And the amount of the voucher? The amount of the voucher?
We have an agreement with Delia Feed and Seed.
Okay.
We used to have it with Ben's before they closed.
Okay.
Yeah, but for equipment per department, we usually leave a large sum for whatever we need in the future. And in case we have something that is needed as an emergency.
And that's why I asked both departments
So,
of the item, what they really need it for and need. Maybe we can look into it, because I know they've been cutting trees and grass throughout the city, and I know they use it also throughout the gas lines and around the sewer plant. So that's
Right,
an
but
item, because due to the snakes and. that's
but
why I
due to
was
your
saying.
question, we do leave a budget for in case emergencies that we need equipment.
Okay.
So we're always ready for that.
That's how we bought the chainsaws and the
Weed eaters.
weed eaters that we
So
just bought.
what is the cap that you can purchase, an item? Is it?
We go back to the budgets and see how
Okay.
much is budgeted.
Mr. Thomas, on the signage for indication that y'all are mowing grass along the, for example, Highway 97, do you have the proper signage to advise the
I've
public?
told the guys that every time they're gonna cut somewhere, especially Highway 97, to make sure they put the signs out.
They
And
wear the
also-
orange vest also?
Yes.
They have safety equipment.
Yeah. Any other
For
questions?
take precautionary measures. at all times.
And I'm on the field, so I know if they don't have it on.
Actually, we cut the highway department's work.
Right.
We help them out, cause,
Yeah, cause that's, text dot.
right, text
Yeah.
us right away.
Yeah, right away.
Any other questions for Mr. Thomas?
No, sir.
Good job, Robbie.
Mr. Thomas, thank you very much for
Thank you
that
for your time,
report.
sir.
Moving on to sanitation. Mr. Martinez, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Mr. Delia. The sanitation, transfer station, solid waste report for May of 2022. There was 29 total trips made to the landfill in Laredo. 22 were compactors. 7 of them were 40-yarders from the transfer station. The compactor, which consists of commercial or residential trash, was 315.11 tons. 630,220 pounds of trash was collected in May. That is about 1,000 pounds more than last year. I mean, the last month. I'm sorry, the last month. There was a lot more trash, and being that school's out, there's going to be more trash coming up during the summer. Some maintenance and things that we've been doing lately this past month. The 8-yard damaged containers are getting fixed and worked on. A total of 18 containers have been fixed and restored with lids. We were down to about 2 or 3. The painting process on those 8-yarders containers has started, and also labeling them with City of Cotulla on them. The annual water sample was collected from the transfer station manhole. The containment water is a sample and analyzed on an annual basis for total petroleum hydrocarbon, which is TPH, fats, oil, and grease, and pH. And that is to verify that the containment water at the manhole at the transfer station could be adequately managed by the City of Cotulla to the wastewater treatment plant. Those results met all TCQ requirements. Also, listening to the other supervisors, I was already talking to Mr. Thomas earlier this week. We are considering maybe starting next week, having the trash guys come in a little bit more earlier at 4:30. They're getting out at 1:15, 1:30. By that time, it's really hot, like Mr. Sartucci said. And the guys are in the back. They're back there practically 7 hours in the sun. They do take a break in the morning for about 30 minutes, and that's about it. I do give them another break, but sometimes they just want to finish and move on and finish the day. But we are considering starting the routes at 4:30. I know it's going a little bit much earlier for the people at the houses, the noise and stuff like that, but we have to take in consideration on the individuals that are in the back of the truck for 8 hours, or 7.5 to 7 hours in the back, just dealing with the sun. That is my monthly report for May. If you have any questions, concerns.
Councilman, any questions for Mr. Martinez?
No, sir.
Not at this time.
Mr. Martinez, thank you very much for that
Thank you,
report.
sir.
Moving on to animal control. Mr. Gonzalez.
Good evening, Mr. Delia, Mr. Mayor, City Council. For the month of May, I picked up 24 dogs that were placed in the shelter. 11 were taken from the South Texas brush puppies. 11 were picked up off, deceased were picked up off the streets of town. 5 dogs were euthanized, and I had a total of 8 work orders for the month. Other than that, the shelter was cleaned, dogs were fed daily, and maintenance like cutting grass and weeding was done. And on top of that, on next Thursday, I have my state exam. And that's all.
Good luck on that.
Thanks,
I have
sir.
a
Good luck.
question, sir.
Yes.
Is there something that we do or for rabies for animals, the shots?
Last year we did, when was it, last year or the year before? We did
The year before.
a voucher system on a first come, first served basis
Okay.
for people who couldn't afford a rabies shot. And we can repeat that
Okay. That'd be
We
good.
do it every year. I believe last year we didn't do it because of COVID.
because of COVID.
That'll be
But
good.
we do it every year. We do what about,
We did about 100 dogs.
Yeah. Okay, that'll be good.
Any questions?
any questions for animal control?
No, sir. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Gonzalez. Moving on to Main Street. Ms. Karina?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, Mr. Lovelina. Something that's not in your report, but I want to go ahead and touch base with. The posting for the Main Street manager and accountant position will be published in the newspaper, and then it'll be open until filled. Community involvement. During Law Enforcement Appreciation Week, we had Pop with the Cop at the City Park and Veterans Park. Community members were able to stop by and visit with law enforcement, which were included local sheriff's office, constable's office, border patrol. Fire department was invited, but they actually had training, so they weren't able to make it. We did have a shallow turnout, but we forgot that there was practices, baseball practices and stuff going on. So we actually surprised them at the parks, and it was actually a great turnout. The smiles on kids' faces and parents' faces were overly joyful, and I'm hoping that it's something that will happen every year during that time. Unfortunately, with the tragic event in Uvalde, the Uvalde Strong Barbecue on a Bun fundraiser was held here in Cotulla at the Martinez Park Pavilion. It was coordinated between myself, the city representation, county officials, and other community members. Cotulla alone raised approximately $9,000, which automatically goes into the fund for the families. And there was 10 locations all over South Texas, and that was a total of $150,000. Also, the city of Cotulla sent a wreath to be placed on the memorial site, and that was taken by community members, so we do thank them for taking that for us. Stockman's Bank Phase 2, as y'all know, and I've talked to y'all before, this meeting commenced. The furnishing designs upstairs are taking place, and that will be voted on a later item. We still stand with wanting to have a Camino Real, either a travel exhibit or a permanent exhibit. We've actually made contact with one of the directors, and we will be, Mr. Dovalina and I will be having a meeting with him next week, and that'll entail the initial steps of how to go ahead and start that exhibit for people to stop by and actually visit, as well as go ahead and start into the process of refurbishing the landmarker that's on Highway 97. You can't really tell most people, it's kind of like yellowish orange, so we want to go ahead and refurbish that, and if we have to pay it, we are willing to pay it. Cristo Rey project, the oral histories were performed this month. They were performed by Terry Myers with Preservation Central at the Elderly Nutrition Center. I know Mr. Tanis was able to speak to her, and it was a great turnout. Florida Plaza, as y'all know, the unveiling ceremony was actually unfortunately having to be canceled, but in the process of putting that together, we actually found out great news, and that's that not only is Plaza Florida on the National Register, but it was actually the surrounding properties were actually included in that. So well housing is included. So we're working on getting a marker for well housing and Plaza Florida, and then hopefully whenever everything is completed, we can go ahead and unveil the entire district, and it'll be a much better turnout, and many more people will be happy, and I'm sure y'all would as well. And then the recorded Texas historic landmark marker We still haven't received a response, but we should be receiving one in the next month or so. And then 4th of July celebration, that still stands July 2nd and 3rd. It's of course a joint effort between ourselves and the county, 2-day event, and we're waiting 3 contracts, so a flyer has not been published, but we do have it ready to be posted. And then parade and vendor applications have been sent out they were sent to the same people that had been the entries from last year. So that's how we received our list, and we went ahead and sent those letters. Is there any questions or concerns? I know that was a mouthful.
The postponement of the event with the marker at Plaza Florita was done at the request of the preservation officer, because the Texas Historic Commission is gonna deal with that item at their July meeting. So once that is done, then we can proceed with a ceremony and do what we need to do, because we already have the marker in our office. And they're gonna notify us once they do that.
Any other questions or concerns for myself?
Any other questions, Councilman?
Thank you.
Ms. Garina, thank you very much for that report. City Administrator.
Terry Myers came in and started working on the Cristo Rey project, which he had approved some months back. What she's basically doing is she's cataloging all of the graves in the property. The city found out that the cemetery itself was built on city land, and the land that the Cemetery Association had, the city built the landfill, and I don't know if they actually used it or not. So when they were doing the mineral search formed by the landman, that this actually had happened. So the county and Reyes Agüero, who's now deceased, representing the Cemetery Association and the city, mediated a settlement with an agreement. And in the county's budget and in the city budget, we agreed that we were gonna set aside $50,000 by both entities, so we're gonna be $100,000, so we could upgrade the cemetery, the roads and things around there, and maybe extend a water line, because there's a problem with the water well that is currently there, and it's not well laid out. The whole process is gonna take about a year for us to resolve. The county has to agree to send the mediation to the court, and they're gonna take the lead as far as appointing a commission. It'll be from one representative from the association, several representatives from the county, one representative from the city, and it's all laid out in the document that has to be filed, but it's waiting to be filed. And once that is done, we, in fact, because we own the land, are gonna proceed with having it declared as a historic cemetery. And it's something that has not been done before. But that'll take about a year process, the whole process.
Councilman, any questions for the city administrator?
I just wanted to jump in there, for reasons unknown to me. There has been, really what I would believe to be a long delay in finally getting the matter to the court to basically, substitute the, Cristo Rey Committee, which we agreed to, as the trustee for the cemetery. Mr. Agüero's unfortunate death kind of threw a wrench in there because I believe he died without a will, and it was a mess. And I think we're supposed to have a hearing in July. There was some email correspondence that back and forth with Carlos and Keith, Carlos Otero and Keith Franklin. But I haven't actually received a notice saying, hey, yeah, we're set. So once that's done, Mr. Aguero was asking for some things, which now would be his estate. And so, you know, we may have a hearing and get this done in July, we may not. I don't know. It really, the city did everything it was supposed to do. It's mainly Soltero and Keith to get this thing finalized. We have a judgment agreed upon, and I think it would be a fairly straightforward matter if we can ever get into the courthouse to get it done.
Any other questions?
I have a question right now. I was approached by a citizen that has some family members buried at the Cristo Rey. Who do I talk to, or who does he talk to? Who's in charge of mowing of the grass? She's an elderly lady.
The county agreed to take the lead on the maintenance.
Okay, so who will be it will be Commissioner
Whatever
Commissioner
commissioner
Ayala.
precinct is.
Okay.
Commissioner Ayala, right?
Yeah, Raul is basically it's been operating basically
On its own.
without a real formal mechanism in place.
Okay.
But I know the county does some maintenance out there.
Okay.
It's in need of a lot more maintenance, and once we can get the final paperwork done, I mean, it needs fencing, it needs a dumpster. It's just kind of a mess if you've been out there.
Right. Yeah.
Trash gets thrown in
Yeah.
the corner, and we're hoping to get that straightened out this year.
Okay.
But again, it's been dragging on for
Okay.
a long time.
Yeah, it's an extensive
We've actually
process.
been working on that for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And these findings were, these landmen found that discrepancy back in either 2012 or 2013.
right,
Been a long time.
right.
It's been a long time.
The city actually didn't even know it owned it until then, or the institutional knowledge was lost, and the landmen found it when they did the lease.
That is correct. Any other questions of the city administrator? If not, moving on to item number 6, approval of minutes, May 12, 2022, May 26, 2022. Ms. City Secretary, any changes have been made to the minutes?
No, sir.
Thank you for that. Councilman, did you guys get a chance to review the minutes?
Yes, sir.
If you did, I seek a first motion to approve item number 6. First motion by Mr. Sertuche, I need a second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the public hearing. Mr. Technician, what time do you have?
7:54.
It is 7:54. Public hearing will start. City council will conduct a second of 2 hearings, 2 public hearings pursuant to text local government code and section 43.063 for the following description properties to wit. Track number 2, track number 4, track number 5, and track number 6.
Mayor, this is the second required public hearing that was set by the ordinance that we approved back in April. These are all properties that are owned by the city. They are utility easements that will be annexed into the city. All of them are easements except for one, which is actually the water well, number 9. And so if you open the hearing to save the time, and then if nobody speaks, you can close the hearing.
Anybody wanna say something on any of these tracks? If not, the hearing will close. What is the time? Mr. Tech?
7:55.
It is now 7:55 and the hearing is now closed. Moving on to resolutions and ordinance to be approved. Discussion and possible action on an ordinance of the city of Cotulla, Texas, annexing the following tracts of land pursuant to the annexation schedule adopted by ordinance number 04142-022-001 on April 14, 2022 regular meeting. Those tracts are 2, 4, 5, and 6.
Mayor, these again are the same tracks that you just had the public hearing on. Now that you've completed the public hearing, the city may move forward with annexing them. There are no requirements as far as service plans or anything, because these are owned by the city.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you would just be annexing property that you own.
Correct. Councilman, if there's no questions on these properties on item number 7, I seek a first motion to approve item number 7.
I have one question.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it possible for the next meeting or the next time we do have on questions about property to have a map, so more likely we know what property we're talking about?
Sure.
To make it easier for us, because we're reading the track numbers, but more likely don't know more likely where it is. So would it be better to have like a map?
I believe in the ordinance, we actually attached the plats. If you have the printed out ordinance, behind item number 7. You can see, Exhibit A. One is the BP Newman easement, which is the airport.
Where we did the water line that loops around on the airport.
Mm-hmm.
The other track is where the sewer line is gonna come from the airport along the prison. And the third combination are the lots and the water well off of Dobie Road.
Okay, right. So there's actually surveys in there, Councilman.
But yes, we can do what you're
We
suggesting.
can get the map, though.
Well, we are required to update our map
Mhm.
once we have these annexations in.
That is correct.
And so, I think you have a general idea where they are.
Yeah, more likely now I know, but to make it easier next time, you have a whole map of.
Well, we can do that. Jorge, as a matter of fact, we're probably,
Jorge's doing a data map before, and we're currently updating it.
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure how current our map is. It's supposed to show everything, but
Yeah.
anyway. So you had did we approve that?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
If there's no further questions or discussions on item number 7, I seek a first motion to approve item number 7.
Motion.
First motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Sertucci. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
I believe that with these annexations, that's all of the stuff that we needed to annex, or is there more
Yes,
stuff?
it is.
Okay.
Moving on to item number 8, discussion and possible action on the resolution of the city of Catulla electing one alderman to serve as mayor pro tem for a term of 1 year.
Normally, we put it on the agenda every year, and we pass the torch on to whoever has not served as mayor pro tem. I think 3 of the council members have been mayor pro tem. The only one that has not been is Mr. Rodriguez.
And Mr. Garcia also.
Garcia as well.
Mr. Catulla,
I'll
I know
nominate him.
that you were,
I'll nominate him.
Mr.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
I'll second.
Mr. Rodriguez, are you up for it?
Yes, sir.
All right. I need first motion to approve, the Alderman, Mr. Rodriguez, to, be the Mayor Pro Tem for item number 8. I seek a first motion. First motion by Mr.
Second.
Septuche, second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor say aye.
Alright.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Item 17.
All right, Councilman, we have a lady that drove quite distance. I'd like to move item number 17 up. I seek a first motion to approve item number 17.
So moved.
First motion by Mr. Septuche, second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you for that, Councilman. Moving on to item number 17, presentation by Delia, Valenzuela of Belong regarding the foster system in the Lasalle County, Cotulla area.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor, City Alderman, City Administrator, City Secretary, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you so much for having me here. My name is Delia Valenzuela. I am the community liaison for an organization. It is a nonprofit organization called Belong. And if I may call your attention to the folders that I presented to each one, then and I had Bianca be nice enough to hand out. My presentation today is about the transformation of foster care. Now, previously, it used to be in the state's hands. So the state would come in and they would waive their bond and they would have a one solution for everyone. But that doesn't work. So now it's up to the communities in which we live to take care of these children who need resources in the local communities. Belong is a division of St. Jude's Ranch for Children. We handle cases that are presented to CPS, and then CPS conducts the investigation, and then we're tasked with finding living arrangements, foster care or adoption for those children who cannot go back home. We are the leading provider for the community-based care for our area, which is the South Central and Hill Country area, which covers 27 communities. And as I stated before, it is a nonprofit organization, and we are not novices to the child welfare experiences. We have 40 years of experience, and in those 40 years, we have over 70,000 children that have received care since the inception of St. Jude's Ranch for Children, which is, for lack of a better term, like the mother company, and then we are a subsidiary. We are accredited by the Council on Accreditation, and what we utilize in our excuse me, I've lost my concentration here. What we use is trauma-based agency relational intervention method, which means that what we do is we gain the trust of the child and incorporate the parent in the behavioral issues, how to handle the behavioral issues of the child. Our mission is to offer healing and hope to children and families that are affected by that abuse, abandonment, and neglect, with the vision of being able to empower them to be able to grow into happy, productive, and caring adults. And as I said before, we are community-based care, meaning that we are looking toward the community to rally behind the child and provide those resources that we need to take care of the children if indeed they fall into the system. It's a new way of taking care of foster care and case management services. So everything has shifted from the child welfare system from the state to contractors such as ourselves, and we are the leading provider.
So why community-based care? Because in 2017, that's when the legislature revitalized the process and changed everything with the hopes of improving the lives of the children. It does allow the flexibility, the innovation, and the community collaboration to rally behind the child, as I said before. The next slide shows where South Central and Hill Country is. I am tasked as the community liaison with 5 counties, and those are Frio, Lasalle, Atascosa, Wilson, and Carnes. And what I find is that each one of the areas that I serve has different needs. So that's why I come out here to see what it is that you need and see who can provide those resources. If it's a child that's picked up in the middle of the night and needs diapers, if it's a parent that needs fuel to get a child to the doctor, it's those kind of resources that I'm looking for so that I can connect the resources to the need. So what's unique about the nature of Belong is that we have consistent communication and we have keen attention to detail. There is community collaboration at the forefront of everything that we do. There is provider assistance and support, and we also have a program called PAT. It's a Parents as Teachers. It is a free service. It provides in-home support for parents and strengthens families before a crisis. So this department that we have provides virtual free resources so that a mother who's having trouble handling the issues at home can call us. We can do a virtual. If absolutely needed, we can come out to their home and provide them the resources so they can handle the behaviors that are going to continue to repeat. We all get upset. We all get angry. We all have a bad day. So does a child. And the child does not know how to deal with it, so we're helping the parents deal with those behaviors. And this way we can at least make an attempt to keep the children out of CPS. So there is an implementation of the legal department with a focus of the child's best interest and their safety. We started up in April of 2021. In October of 2021, we actually opened the doors. So at that time, we anticipated that at stage 2, that would be later this year. It's actually been moved up by the state and told us we need to start as soon as October, and we are trying to do it as quickly as possible. Probably we will be shooting for the fall. So we are making a lot of progress and headway. Now the slide that I least like is the one that has the numbers. In this area of 5 counties, at this time, there are 220 children in care for the South Subregion. In this area, there are 13 youth in care, with 4 forever homes needed. Now, some of the tasks that I find, or challenges that I find in the area are, 1, if it's a teenage child, those are harder to place. Everybody wants the cute little child. And so what you have is the teens are not getting adopted. They're not being placed with foster parents. Those are a challenge everywhere. The other thing is that if it's a sibling group, so let's say for instance there's a family of 3 children from Catulla. They get taken from the parents and they are told by the judge at CPS that a foster family needs to be taking care of this family, or an adoption needs to be taking place. Those children, if placed in a foster home, more than likely will go into 3 different homes. So imagine, I always put myself in that place and I think, okay, if I was with my brothers and my sisters, would I want to be split up like that? And why is that? Because the other need that we have in this area is that there are no foster homes. So those children have to go far away. And many times they don't get to see each other anymore. So that's another issue. I've come here and I am asking that you find someone in your area that is a philanthropist or someone wanting to invest money that has just a pocket of money that doesn't know what to do with it, and invest in providing a foster home somewhere in the area. I'm asking people that know who's interested in opening up a food pantry, because we do work with the churches and we are making every attempt to tap into all of the churches in all of the communities so that we can have them rally around and provide the food pantry or a backpack of clothing or free donated fuel cards or food cards or gift cards or whatever it is, just to make sure that we have resources and a base to work from when those children do happen to fall in the system. So at the end, you do have the contact information for the case manager, who is Eddie Gentry, and myself. I can always be reached. I don't care what time it is. We also provide informational meetings according to the need of the area, because we were holding them twice a month. However, different areas require perhaps an in-person informational meeting. So we do provide a lot of resources. They are free. Please reach out. At this time, this concludes my presentation. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, from all these children that are looking for homes and deserve to be happy. So if you have any questions, I don't promise that I have all the answers, but if I don't, I will get them for you.
I got a question.
Yes.
And say that people get together in the community and donate money
Yes.
to that organization. Would it be just for the foster kids of this county, or would it be entire South Texas County?
For everyone. We're trying to build families. We're trying to strengthen the family at home, and then have those resources for everyone, So it would be, let's say, for instance, if Bianca was heading a food bank here in town, well, any child that needs food should be able to go there. It doesn't mean they have to be a foster parent, looking for food for their foster kids. We're just trying to build up the wealth of resources that are needed to provide these children something with stability in the area. Food, clothing, shelter.
And that's a good thing and a good idea. And I believe that a lot of companies, city governments, county governments, agencies, I work for the state, and the way we do it, we donate. They take so much money every month of every employee, and it goes to the St. Jude's Hospital, $5 a month, which is, a cup. You drink a cup of coffee or a beer, and with that money, what's $5?
Well, I am from humble beginnings, and I'm by no means a rich woman in terms of monetary status. So every time I see a penny, I pick it up. And I used to tell my niece and my nephews, see that penny? I said, 100 of these makes $1. So everything counts, every penny. Is there anything else?
Any other questions, Councilman?
No.
If not, Ms. Valenzuela, thank you very much for that
Thank
presentation.
you so
Thank you.
much.
Moving on to item number 9, presentation of financial statements by Mr. Jorge Flores. Flores.
Mayor, council member, good evening. First report is your sales tax report. For the month of June, the city received $150,501. So for the first 9 months of the year, the city has received $1,322,339. Last year, if you look at the column previous to that, we collected $1,386,263. So next month, we will go over what we collected last year. And if we collect just 10% more in the last 3 months of the year, we will collect approximately 1.8 million for the year. Next report is the hotel motel tax collection report. For the month of May, the city received $48,704. So for the quarter so far, $238,125, and for the year, $726,319. And again, if you look at the previous column, we have already surpassed what we collected last year.
But this is a restricted fund
Yes.
that you can't use in any other part of city government except what the state law says you can.
Correct. Next report is the statement of revenues and expenditures, page number 1, general fund, and this is the report for the month ended May 31st. Total revenues, $1,894,602. On page number 4, total expenses, $1,838,409, for a net income of $56,193. On the next page is the water sewer fund. Total revenues, $1,166,342. Total expenses on the next page, $971,262, for a net income of $195,079. The gas fund on page number 7, revenues of $274,467, expenses of $315,673, for a net loss of $41,205.
That's what you were talking about,
That's,
Mr. Bowen.
that's
The gas.
the increase in gas price.
So we're paying out of our pocket.
We're paying out of our pockets to balance the gas fund, where the gas fund should be a proprietary fund making its own money, so it doesn't affect the rest of your money to be able to do other things with it, like buy new equipment.
And on page number 9, the solid waste fund, revenues $529,020, expenses of $549,700, for a net loss of $19,987.
That is actually pretty good, considering what we have done in the past years.
And if you look at the second column, that's the current, that's only for the month of May. And you look at the last number, we actually had net income in the month of May in the solid waste fund of $2,260. And I attached, as a final report, the accounts payable check register for the month of May. Accounts payable checks were $548,844. Are there any questions?
Councilman, any questions for Mr. Flores on his report? Not Mr. Flores, thank you very much for that report. Moving on to item number 10, discussion and possible action on a request submitted by the Cotulla Lasalle Chamber of Commerce regarding replacing the old Marquis in Front Street with an LED sign.
We at the Chamber of first of all, good evening, Mayor, City Councilman, and Mr. Delia. We at the
Chamber of Commerce are asking the City Council to waive the city ordinance prohibiting the use of digital sign in the downtown area. The Chamber would like to replace the old Marquis with a newer LED signage for the community. The Chamber would like to inform the council that the sign will not blink, so it will not interfere with traffic. The sign does not produce any noise. It is 90% brightness and will automatically diminish when the sun goes down. It is FCC compliant, UL listed, therefore will not interfere with any towers. Images will hold for 10 to 20 seconds. The sign runs 24/7 on 120 volts of electricity, 20 amp breaker for a yearly cost of around $200. We would like to apply for a variance with the city to cover this cost in return for free advertising on the board. It will be insured by our property insurance, and we would respectfully ask for your help in improving our community and support the endeavor. If you have any questions, Mr. Harris is here to answer any questions you might have.
I understood that you were actually here for a waiver of the LED sign ordinance, not to ask for money to pay for the operation of the sign. Huh? Would you come up to the podium so we can hear
Yeah,
what
we're
you're
gonna just
saying?
ask for the waiver of the
Huh?
ordinance. No, we're going to, ask, we're gonna fundraise for the cost of the sign.
And what is the cost?
21,000.
No, that's,
21,000?
well, it's a lot
Plus,
more than
not
that.
the,
Yeah.
But we'll fundraise for
are
that.
y'all gonna fund that?
Right, we're gonna fund
Okay,
that.
so you just wanna waive the
The
ordinance?
ordinance.
The ordinance.
Yeah.
Yes,
See,
yeah.
when you have an ordinance in place, the city administrator can't waive the ordinance. So it has to come to council for a waiver, and you can waive the ordinance if you want.
We need a motion for it.
You do,
Yes.
you
Make a
do.
motion.
I just had a couple of questions. This sign ordinance was adopted many years ago, and I think at the time, the purpose of the adoption of the sign was, and you see some of these where they'll have like, the actual message changes, like, you know, you're advertising for a car dealer, and then the next one is for something else, and the next one is for something else, and I think that was what was the intent of that ordinance, so that you didn't get those here. Although they're all over San Antonio, where they believe that they're distracting, people are trying to read the sign while they're driving, and if I'm understanding what you're proposing here, I'm not sure that the sign you're proposing is really one of those signs. It doesn't.
It is an LED sign.
But it has a single. Are you gonna flash different messages the whole time, or?
Or just change pages?
Just change pace. Yeah.
It's gonna be what they call a static message, not a flashing, blinking, or animation.
So it just changes pages and it'll sit there?
Correct.
And it's, I believe it is similar to the one on this, where the new school is built. They have one similar to that.
Yeah, I think these things, I'm trying to find the ordinance,
It's right here.
it was CBMES signs, let me,
It's-
where is that?
It's on your packet.
Item 10?
There you go.
Yeah, CEVMS signs, is this one of those signs? Is it
Can I speak on the matter, please?
Yeah, sure. Is it a change-
My name is Nicholas Harris. Just a brief history of myself. I've been in the sign business for over 40 years. I was actually the chief electrical sign inspector with the city of San Antonio back in the late 80s and early 90s. I was there for 18 years. So I'm very familiar with ordinances and variances and things of that nature. And back then, you're correct. Absolutely correct. A lot of municipalities decided to start regulating what they call these electronic message centers, or what they call flashing, blinking, emanation type of situations. But over the years, a lot of municipalities have looked back at those ordinances to say, hey, if it has a static message, you could put a dwell time on it, you could put brightness on it, you can not cause what they call a visual obstruction to the ongoing traffic. I mean, TxDOT did some other regulations on their billboards, similar situation where they allow these digital billboards to do these dwell times on their state-funded highways. So all during that process, and then the last 17 years, I actually been on what I call the private sector. I left the city of San Antonio after 18 years. Decided to go what I call to the dark side, to the construction aspects of it, and working for 2 national sign companies over these last 17 years. I was going to retire actually, but then I decided to start my own company. But based on my previous experience dealing with ordinances, dealing with different municipalities, different regulations, it's the verbiage that was created on that ordinance when y'all first enacted that ordinance. I think that, in my opinion, based on the construction standards that are outlined, those are referring to what I call the flashing, the blinking, the constant message changing. But in retrospect, on this type of marquee situation, I call it a marquee. Yes, it's digital. Yes, it's considered what they call electronic message center. However, it's not that type of construction, because now you can control the brightness. Now you can control the static message. And that's something similar to San Antonio. Over the past years, they started allowing those digital messages again, or electronic message centers. But they got to have specific candle illumination. They have to have what they call night brightness, where they can probably put a scope on it and make sure it's not, bright enough to distract the traveling motors. It has to have a dwell time. Theirs is only 7 seconds, but they're proposing a minimum of 20 seconds. So, static message, 20 seconds later, another message.
Just as for the purposes of the city council to understand this, the ordinance actually prohibits changeable message light emitting diode billboards. And so if you look at what the ordinance says, a CEVMS sign, or a changeable electronic variable message sign, shall mean a sign which permits light to be turned on or off intermittently, or which is operated in a way whereby light is turned on or off intermittently, including any illuminated sign on which such illumination is not kept stationary or constant.
And that's correct. I think the key word you're looking at is that first part.
So what is being proposed is a stationary. It's not going to be changed.
It's not going to flash, blink, animate, bright. You're not going to see the
change.
Fireworks going off and all that good
It's going
stuff.
to change. It doesn't stay forever like that.
Right, but you can change the message. It just won't have one message and then 2 seconds later.
Yes, that is correct.
Different message.
That's what we call the dwell time, or the static message, to make it like if you just put up one brand new sign, it has one brand new plastic face, and then, but in this case, it's able to do. I don't
think the issue is that you can change the message. Is that you don't want it changing. You don't want it to look like a television when you're driving.
That's
by.
exactly right.
And that's why you're asking for 20 seconds, right?
I think he was going to.
10, 20.
He wanted 10 to 20, but it's, to be honest, it's the decision of this meeting. And my apologies. Again, my name's Nick Harris. I'm Harris Sign Systems. I'm based in San Antonio, Texas. Thank you for letting me speak, Mayor, City Administrator, and Councilman. But yes, we have the option of putting a static message on it, and it could be at any variable that you decide. I'm just saying City of San Antonio only requires 7 seconds. But I've been to other municipalities, they want 10 seconds. Some want 15. Some wants 20.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand what is being asked.
Yes.
It's going to be the same message, or there will be more than one message?
and that's entirely, it'll be the same message for 20 seconds.
And then a
And
different
then it'll go to a
message?
new message. But again,
Changes.
the sign will be UL listed. It'll have the dwell times and the brightness controls. This sign is be actually smaller than what's currently in existence, so we're kind of reducing the sign face area that's existing. It's going to be used only for non-commercial messages, including city functions, holidays, community message, and now Amber Alerts you'll be able to utilize it for. It can be operated through computer, Wi-Fi. We're going to use the existing steel and the electrical. We're going to, I tell a lot of people, as a contractor, boy, I'd love to sell them a nice new pipe, because the prices are going up, the auger, the concrete. But we already looked at the sign.
So when the message is programmed, that will be the chamber gets on the computer and just sends a message and it changes that.
That's it.
Okay.
And again, a lot of people have gone to these type of uses because they're just tired. Even the gas stations, they gone digital. But of course, it only changes now it's been changing about every other day because the gas prices keep going on. But before it was like once a month. But they're able to change that message.
I think just for the purposes of the council to understand, this was passed in 2008. At the time, it was a new technology, or if it wasn't new, it was first being seen here. And I think there was some concern there. And I remember one in particular in San Antonio at the I-10, 410 area. I mean, it was just humongous signs up there, and you're driving down and you're doing this, and I think that was the concern. The council's not obligated to grant a variance. It can, and I think that the purpose of this was so that you didn't get a proliferation of commercial sign companies coming in and wanting to put these signs here to call whatever, you've seen the billboards around. Councils pass ordinances, council can grant variances to the ordinance, or they can deny the variance to the ordinance. But I think that the purpose of this ordinance was primarily safety, and then secondarily aesthetic. And some signs, does anybody really like signs? I don't know. I don't think they bother most people, but I know where it's going to be, and I think if you were to grant the ordinance, it would only, they can't move it around and put it in different places. It's entirely up to the council. I think it serves a.
And I don't see a problem with it. The reason is that comparing Cotulla or where it's going to be at in San Antonio area with those types of signs, the traffic, the way the speed is, it's not as fast as compared to.
And you're right there at the railroad track.
Yeah, you got the railroad
it's
track to
your
slow you
speed.
down.
So in reality, it is not considered like you're turning your head because it's gonna be like 20 seconds.
Right.
So you have enough time.
So if you were to grant it, one of the things you may want to say is, okay, we will grant it to this one. Don't come back next week and want another one.
Correct.
Any changes to that, the variance would be null and void. There certainly seems to be a reason to have it, and it is at this point, I'm not sure that it really creates any kind of a traffic hazard. I don't think it's an aesthetic issue, and I think it's just up to the council if they want to do it.
If you want to approve the variance, tie it to the presentation that he currently is saying, and he's going to be held to that standard.
That
So
was
that you
correct.
don't
20
get in
seconds.
trouble and something
Yes.
changes later.
Correct.
Yes, based on our presentation, that's absolutely correct. You have the right to put the variables that we're presenting to you today to make it part of that variance procedure, so that way he knows that, hey, if I do one every 5 seconds, he's in violation of that proposal.
Yeah, and like you're saying that the you have to be viewing the train when it's passing by, so it's gotta be a certain height, so. I know right now that sign is standard, but I don't know if you can raise it up a little bit.
Well, actually, and this is another question, but I haven't talked to Melinda about it much, but they want it double-sided. And a lot of municipalities, they have their tree ordinance, and I'm not sure if that tree that's blocking the backside, if you're coming past this railroad track, is a protected tree.
It's a palm tree?
Well,
No, it's
we're not knocking any trees.
I don't know if it's a pecan, to be honest. I'm not a tree arborist.
It's an ash.
It's an ash.
We don't have enough trees, so we ain't knocking any trees down.
Well, I told them as part of the presentation, if we could at least get visibility on that backside, we'll plant a new one, just to get it out of the way.
Well, we'll see if we can prune it, but.
Yes.
Probably trim it.
Is that even on the city right of way? Is that railroad right of way?
I think it's city property.
We have a map.
city, 50 feet from the, should be from the.
And there is a map where some of that property is not ours.
I got you. But on where it's at now, it is, correct?
Well, it's a certain portion because 50 feet from the track belongs to
to a railroad company, exactly.
So it would seem to me that if you made it double-sided, you would have people traveling west towards Main Street, and they're gonna be doing this. Now, does that matter? I don't know, but,
I would think if it was coming from the major part of downtown.
They're coming down 97, they're not gonna be looking at the sign.
I think it'd be more of a welcome to our city type of situation. Here's Catulla. This is what we want you to know about our holidays, our fiestas, I call them fiestas.
The Camino Real sign, which is just below it, and we're gonna be doing something with it. I'm not sure what.
is the El Camino Real, isn't that a plaque, or is it?
It's a kind of a Lexan sign with some wording that nobody reads.
This is a policy decision.
It would look nice on our town.
It's your
Councilman,
choice.
if there's any further discussion on that, I seek a first motion to approve.
A motion.
Item number 10, first motion by Mr. Ayala.
Motion to approve.
The motion to approve with the 22nd.
Based on the presentation.
Based on the presentation of
presentation you
Chamber of
just gave.
Commerce and myself as being the licensed sign installer.
And
Correct.
we have a document showing what the presentation is.
Yes.
Second was made by Mr. Rodriguez. First was Mr. Ayala.
Will you
Second was
issue
Mr. Rodriguez.
Are you gonna issue?
All in favor say aye.
Permit.
All opposed say nay.
Pay for a permit?
Motion
Yes,
carries.
sir.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Mr. Harris.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Thank you, Melinda.
And it's only gonna be one way, right?
Moving on to item number 11, discussion and possible action to approve the final form of agreement for the one-term agreement between city and LRD Consulting
You
for
already
city
approved
administrator
it.
services.
You already approved it at the last meeting, and Steve wasn't here, and he hadn't prepared the document that I'm prepared to sign it, so.
Mayor, I just wanted to let you know that this basically tracks the same agreements that we've had with LRD Consulting in the past. There's typically a provision in there that it's terminable at will.
Or if I die.
But it does provide there that if the city says, hey, you know what, we just want a different city administrator, and there's no real reason to terminate it, that there is a 3-month severance that's in there. That's entirely up to you all if you want to pay it or not. Typically in an employment contract for a city administrator, there is severance, which is why I wanted it to come back to the council so that you understand that. If you want to strike that, I've discussed it with Mr. Dovalina. It's only a 1-year contract. It's entirely, we have provided it in the past, and it actually a more generous severance package. So this one is actually much less generous, but it's entirely up to the city council if they want to approve it or not.
Councilman, any questions on that?
And it was $7,500 a month.
Yes.
And the apartment allowance is not changing, correct?
No.
No.
Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Okay?
The amount of days that Mr. Duvalina is gonna be here is 3 days?
It's still the same.
But I'm actually on call every day.
Okay.
And he does pick up on a Sunday.
Yes, I
Call
know.
Yeah, I think with the purpose of the contract, it says you will
Call
be
them
here
Saturday,
these
Sunday.
days, but if you're needed other days,
Right.
then the city
Right.
can say, hey, you need to come.
Yeah, I've had emergencies on a Sunday, and he makes himself available to us, so that makes it even better
And,
for us.
and I routinely call Mr. Dolino Fridays, cause that's just a good day for me to work, and if I
Right.
need something, I'll call him and ask him.
Yeah.
I've also called them Saturdays and Sundays and nights.
Yeah.
So
I don't do
pick
that.
up. Pick up.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Will they be, I know I mentioned to you, I spoke to you already, in the future, will there be an opening to the public for that position?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
So there's nothing prohibiting you at any time from saying, hey, you know what, we wanna hire somebody else? But if you do that, then there's a severance that Mr. Dovalina would get in that instance. So you're not locked into it for a year. It's just protecting, it's obligating Mr. Dovalina to perform for a year,
For a
but
year.
the city can decide we're not gonna do it. And I did wanna add, I've negotiated these before with other city managers, and that's about half of what the kind of the going rate is right now for an experienced city manager. So it is well within the acceptable parameters for compensation.
I believe we got a bargain when he came on board, and we've been continuing to get a bargain on him.
Yep.
Any other questions on that? If not, I seek a first motion to approve item number 11.
So move.
First motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
So Mayor, all you do, if you haven't already done it, you just sign it, Bianca.
Yes.
And Mr. Dovalina will sign it as well.
Moving on to item number 12, discussion and possible action to approve pay request number 12 submitted by CDM Smith in the amount of $25,634.75 for professional service regarding task order number 2, wastewater treatment plant improvement projects.
When these contracts come up for approval, we shortly thereafter get approval from the Texas Water Development Board, and then the money is released to us, and then we make a check, just so you know. And these are contracts that have been approved, and I'm giving you the pay draw information for information purposes.
And this is done through the Water Development Board?
Yes, sir.
You know, it's very hard to get bonded through them, and by getting bonded through them, it also comes with forgiveness grants, which we've have gotten, may I say 2? Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
We've gotten 2 with a very good amount of forgiveness, amount of money that was forgiven.
We're trying to change it because they changed our poverty scale from what we had before. So we're trying to get it done again by a consultant, so we can fall back into the category where the loan forgiveness is much greater than what we're getting.
Yeah, a lot of our neighbors cities, they don't actually go to the Water Development Board, or they don't meet their requirements. So we have done that, and we've been very fortunate to be able to do that. Save our community money, lots of money. If there's no other questions on item number 12, I seek a first motion to approve item number 12. First motion by Mr. Catulla, I need a second. Second by Mr. Ayala. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 13, discussion and possible action on an application, a certification for payment number 14 submitted by McGuire Iron in the amount of $43,483.88 for the airport elevated storage tank project.
And you heard a report on the elevated storage tank. We are paying an individual company to come in and inspect what they're doing on that tank. And I have requested the inspection report be submitted so I can give it to you.
Excellent. If there's no further discussion or any questions on item number 13, I seek a first motion to approve item number 13.
So moved.
First motion by Mr. Lopez, I need a second. Second by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 14, discussion and possible action to approve change order number 001 submitted by Frank Architects Incorporated, increasing the contract sum of Stockman's Bank Phase 2 by $58,736 for addition, partitions, second floor, restrooms, added space, kitchen, awning, finishes, electrical, mechanical modifications.
We're almost finished with the building, and this is a contract to buy some of the furnishings that are gonna be used to create the offices upstairs with partitions, which she has the color samples that
And that's what Karina was passing
she
around.
was
the
using
beginning.
before, and council does have to do a selection of what the color scheme is. She has option one, which is the preferable. Would you hold the
Can you
poster up?
Sir, what,
Huh?
these are actually this is the furniture colors, and this is the actual siding of it, and these are the cushion colors, and then these are the accents.
Okay,
So this is option 1, and then this is option 2.
yeah. And I reminded him that it was a professional office and that we needed to have subdued colors instead of the orange color that they proposed.
Any questions on that, Councilman?
With this amount that we're about to approve, would that finish the bank, or will there be more cost?
It finishes. It'll finish it.
It'll finish it.
We asked that the staircase be ADA compliant because it's not, and the kitchenette and the bathrooms that are back there were not in there in the original plan, and those are now being added, and the furnishings that are being bought are also being made part of the contract.
Have they already met an estimate plan, like when is it gonna be completed?
We think it's the month of July.
Month of July?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's almost finished.
Okay.
And the money is paid out of the hotel tax. It
Correct.
can be used for this purpose.
Correct.
Councilman, if there's no further discussion on item number 14, I seek a first motion to approve item number 14. First
Aye.
motion is made by Mr. Ayala, second by Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 15, discussion and possible action on a contractor's application payment number 8 submitted by Briscoe Architectural Conservation in the amount of $52,180 for the Stockman's Bank Phase 2. Councilman, I believe we just heard everything we needed to hear on that, so that's almost finished on the bank of Stockman's Bank.
It's just the draw.
So I seek a first motion to approve item number 15. First motion by Mr. Rodriguez, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ayala, all in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of furniture for the Stockman's Bank project.
Actually, we're gonna table that one because what we really meant was you were gonna select the colors. So we don't need to pass that. Correct? Okay.
All right, that one, item number 16 is gonna be tabled. Since we already had, item number 17, moving on to item number 18. before I say anything, before we adjourn, I know that the Uvalde incident, touched a lot of people in this world and communities. And my heart and prayers, or our heart and prayers, should be with these families. I cannot begin to tell you how painful it must be to lose a little one. You know, I have an instructor, a martial arts instructor, that says that he went to a couple of the funerals and that these children look very well in the coffin, but the fact remains that these kids were killed, you know, in a school while going to school. So, and that they look very well, but he cannot change the fact that they're kids. So, may God bless them, all of them and their families, and on behalf of the city of Cotulla, may God bless them. So, Mr. Technician, what time is it? It is 8:50. This meeting is